Why? He answered,
I tell you, if these were silent, the very stones themselves would cry out.
O Jerusalem, the day shall come upon you, and your enemies will cast a bank about you, and surround you, and hem you in on every side, and dash you to the ground, you and your children within you. And they will not leave one stone upon another in you, because you do not know the time of your visitation.
Soon and very soon we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon we are going to see the King.
And the temple priests were seeking how to put Jesus to death, for they feared the people.
Then Satan entered into Judas called Iscariot, who was of the number of the 12. He went away and conferred with the temple priests and officers how he might betray him to them. And they were glad and engaged to give him money. So he agreed and sought an opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of the multitude.
Then came the day of unleavened bread, on which the Passover lamb had to be sacrificed. So Jesus sent Peter and John, saying, Go and prepare the Passover for us, that we may eat it.
But where, Lord? Where will you have us prepare it? And what are we to do?
He said to them,
Behold, when you have entered the city, a man carrying a jar of wine will meet you.
Follow him into the house which he enters, and tell the householder,
The teacher said, Where is the guest room where I am to eat the Passover with my disciples? And he will show you a large upper room furnished. There, make ready.
And they went and found it as he had told them, and they prepared the Passover. And when the hour came, he sat at the table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them,
I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I shall not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God.
And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he said,
Take this and divide it among yourselves. For I tell you now, from now on I shall not drink the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes.
And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it, and gave it to them, saying,
This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me.
And likewise the cup after supper, saying,
This cup, which is poured out for you, is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of him who betrays me is with me at the table. For the Son of Man goes as it has been determined. But woe to that man whom is betrayed.
Who, Lord? Who is to betray you? Is I? Is I?
He answered,
He who has dipped his hand in the dish with me will betray me. Oh, it would have been better for that man if he had not been born.
Judas, who had betrayed him, said, Is it I, Master?
Jesus said to him,
You have said so.
Simon Peter was indignant. But not I, he said. And he declared, Though they all fall away from you, I will never leave you.
Peter, truly I tell you, this very night, before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times.
Peter said to him, Even if I must die with you, I will never deny you.
And so said all the disciples, over and over again, I will never deny you, never deny you, never, ever.
And he came out and went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. And when he came to the place, he said to them,
Pray that you may not enter into temptation.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us, deliver us.
And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, and knelt down and prayed.
Father, if thou art willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done.
And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping for sorrow. And he said to them,
Why do you sleep? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, even the evil within ourselves.
While he was speaking, there came a crowd, and the man called Judas, one of the 12, was leading them. He drew near to Jesus to kiss him.
Judas said, Hail, Master.
when the disciples saw what would follow, they said,
Lord, shall we strike with the sword?
And one of them struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his right ear.
But Jesus said,
No more of this.
and he touched his ear and healed him.
Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Jesus said to those who would come out against him,
When I was with you day after day in the temple, you did not lay hands on me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness.
Then they seized him. Then they seized him and led him away, bringing him to the high priest's house.
Peter followed at a distance, and when they had kindled a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat down together, Peter sat among them.
Then they, seeing the sick in the heart, said, This man also was with him.
But he denied it, saying, Woman, I do not know him.
And a little later, someone else saw him and said, You also are one of them.
But Peter said, Man, I am not.
An hour later, another insisted, saying, Certainly this man also was with him, for he is a Galilean.
But Peter said, Man, I do not know what you are saying.
And immediately while he was still speaking, the cock crowed. And the Lord turned and looked at Peter.
And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, how he had said to him, Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times. And he went out, and he wept bitterly.
Now the men who were holding Jesus mocked him and beat him. They blindfolded him and demanded,
Prophesy, who is it that struck you?
and they spoke many other words against him, reviling him. When the day came, the assembly of the elders of the people gathered together and led him to their council.
And they said, If you are the Christ, tell us.
But he said to them,
If I tell you, you will not believe me. And if I ask you now, you will not answer. But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand of the power of God.
Are you the Son of God then?
and he said to them,
You say that I am.
And they said, Blasphemy! What further testimony do we need? We have heard it ourselves from our own lips. Blasphemy!
have said so.
And Pilate said to the chief priests and the multitudes, I find no crime in this man.
But they were urgent, saying, He stirs up the people, preaching throughout Galilee, even to this place.
And when Pilate heard that he was a Galilean of Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod,
where he was vehemently accused and treated with contempt and mocked and arrayed in gorgeous purple, and then sent back again.
Pilate said to the rulers of the people, You brought me this man as one who was perverting the people. And after examining him, behold, I did not find him guilty of any of the charges against him. Behold, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore chastise him and release him.
Barabbas, a man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and for murder.
Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus. Why? What evil has he done? I found no crime in him deserving death. I'll chastise him. I'll release him.
But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified.
And their voices prevailed.
So Pilate gave sentence that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been jailed for murder, but Jesus he delivered up to their will.
But Jesus he delivered over to their will.
And as they led him away, they seized one Simon of Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, and laid on him the cross, carried behind Jesus.
And there followed him a great multitude of women, who bewailed and lamented him.
But Jesus, turning to them, said,
Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. For behold, the days are coming when they will say, Blessed are the barren, the wombs that never bore, the breasts that never produced milk. For if they do this when the wood is green, what will happen when it dries?
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Two others also, who were criminals, were led away to be put to death with him. And And when they came to the place which is called the Skull, there they crucified him and the criminals, one on the right and one on the left. And Jesus said,
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Forgive us our trespasses.
And they cast lots to divide his garments.
Forgive us our trespasses.
And the people stood by watching. But the rulers scoffed at him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he is the Christ of God.
Forgive us our trespasses.
The soldiers also mocked him, coming up and offering him vinegar.
There was an inscription over him, This is the King of the Jews.
Forgive us our trespasses. Forgive us, O Lord, our trespasses.
One of the criminals who were hanged with him railed at him, saying, Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us.
But the other rebuked him, saying, Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence, and we justly? This man has done nothing wrong. And he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
Forgive us our trespasses. Deliver us from the evil.
Thine is the kingdom.
and Jesus said to him,
Truly, truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise.
Were you there when he cried out at the end? Were you there when he cried out at the end? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when he cried out at the end?
Please stand. It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour, when the sun's light failed. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said,
Father, into thy hands I commit my spirit.
And having said this, he breathed his last. And all the multitudes who had assembled to see the sight,
When they saw what had taken place, returned home, leaving their rest. And all his acquaintances and the women who had followed him from Galilee stood at a distance and saw these things.
you may be seated.
Were you
looking for the kingdom of God. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then he took it down, wrapped it in a linen shroud, and laid him in a rock-hewn tomb where no one had ever yet been laid.
It was a day of preparation, and the Sabbath was beginning.